because you know I get messy.
All right, so we're live on Facebook, I think. Well, I'm going to check the replay later. It says we are. I'm going to trust that. But so we're going to start with the patch sipper cocktail. So this was Mr. Bryan's specific request based on Sour Patch Kids candy.
Yay.
So if you do want to try this and you have a different candy that you want to try it with, nice. Try definitely starting with sour candies. This would probably be really good with Skittles, Starbursts, but the sour component that candy brings to the actual vodka, I wouldn't recommend doing it with a sweet candy. Okay, so
Raspberry liqueur.
you are going to need a shaker. The cocktail glass we're going to use for this one, if you just want to have it ready, I'm going to be using a coupe. So it's a smaller wine glass or a martini glass will work. If you have friends, you can divide it into different shot glasses.
Oh, do you want little ones?
Yeah, we'll just do that. We can save our shirt.
So I will say, I tried this out with different colors in the infusion. So I did it with the blue, and then when you add in the raspberry liqueur, it ended up, at least from my particular liqueur, it ended up being a very odd shade of blue. Not unappealing, but just very strange shade of blue. When I did it with just the red, it literally looked like the cocktail was made with like FR number 40. Like it was so red, it was painless. So I'm doing it with the orange. This is my little
orange, or do you want to use the orange?
Yeah, I did the orange, but you can feel free to do the green or the yellow, and we'll discover what the colors are, or whatever color you infuse is fine. So into your shaker.
Chandler, how much of the this do we need?
So for the cocktail, you're going to need an ounce and a half.
Got it.
So you go ahead and put an ounce and a half of your Sour Patch Kids vodka directly into your shaker.
Something else, man. It's 2 ounces.
Now this cocktail, when I first made it, was really, really sweet. Tasted just like the candy, but it was almost overpowering to drink more than one. So I tried to make it kind of a grown-up version of a Sour Patch Kid, so it's a little more refreshing and not sweet. So if you have fresh lemon juice, way better. But if you don't, you can just use the bottled lemon juice, and it's going to be a half ounce.
Of what?
1 ounce?
Half ounce.
Half ounce?
Half ounce.
That's lemon.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a half ounce of your raspberry liqueur. Mine is a creme. It doesn't have to be. Jack today is working with a raspberry jam infused Grand Marnier because we just make things up as we go along. So it's going to be a half ounce of that. And that's all we're going to put in the shaker tin. Okay, so you're going to fill it halfway with ice. You're going to shake it for about 10 seconds. And we're not going to put it into the cocktail glass yet. Just take it and then.
Hey, Chandler.
Yeah.
So after the raspberry liqueur, what else do we put in?
Just that. Vodka, lemon, raspberry liqueur.
The whole thing.
How much vodka? I missed the vodka part.
I mean, it's not
Well, no, the vodka is the Sour Patch Kids infusion, so that's an ounce and a half.
Yep.
And then it was a half ounce of the lemon juice.
Yep.
And a half ounce of the raspberry liqueur.
And then ice and shake, right?
And then ice and shake. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna break something with it.
Once you do shake, you're going to open your shaker. Okay? And then if you have club soda, to me is the best type of sparkling agent to use just because it helps it not be super sweet. If you want it, if you taste this once you've made it and you think it doesn't taste close enough to the candy, Sprite will get you there. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to do 2 ounces of club soda. Or sparkling mineral water. I tried this with a lemon Pellegrino soda. That works really nicely too. And then once that's in there, you're just going to strain it directly into whatever cocktail glass you picked.
Well, that's
Gotta go fun.
Yeah.
I know, I meant
Do you want a real strainer? Well, let's say you don't really have anything in there too hard for a strainer.
yeah.
And I'm going to stab some Sour Patch Kids, because why not?
Oh, you're gonna bring in the garnish?
Garnish.
Well, I would have, but I ate them all.
He ate the garnish.
Of course you did. You have no self-control.
Real jerk move.
Total jerk move, man.
There's only a 5-pound bag. Come on, that's not gonna last too
Well,
long.
that's it? Just 5 pounds?
Just 5
That's it.
I'm going to bring it over so you guys can see. So using the orange Sour Patch Kids, it still looks pretty red.
Yeah, we used the red one. It still stayed red.
Okay, nice. So it'll kind of depend on your raspberry liqueur too, on how deep and dark that is. But give it a taste.
Oh.
Tell me what you think.
That's tasty.
Did you use club soda?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
No, actually, we use.
It is like the adult version.
Mineral water.
Same thing.
Oh, okay, cool. That's what I'm using. Beautiful. So Brian, what's the verdict?
I mean, it tastes like
Sour Patch
a
Kids?
Sour Patch. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I like to try it with the Sprite.
Filled up.
It would be a little bit sweeter, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. No, I like the yeah, I like it.
In the cage.
So just swap with
So if you want to get kind of experimental with this cocktail, because my goal was definitely to try and make it as close to the candy as possible without being overwhelming. There's a lot of ways you can play with it because Sour Patch Kids just are all the same flavor, unlike gummy bears, which are different flavors. So you could use a peach liqueur instead of raspberry. You could use a pear. You can switch any of those up, and then your sodas, like there's a whole range of things you can do.
To my childhood.
Grapefruit
Okay.
soda. You could do a Pellegrino blood orange. Fancier sodas are going to make it taste a little classier, if you will, a little more grown up.
No, I like this.
Any
Wait, there's another
questions?
thing.
I think they're all the same flavors.
No.
Are the Sour Patch Kids really all the same flavors?
You
No
just like
way.
robbed my childhood.
I know. So I looked it up because I was kind of wondering if that would affect the cocktail at all. But they're all the same flavor. They're all the same flavor. They're just, blue, green. In theory, they're all the same color.
You just crushed their hopes and dreams over here.
I know. Trust me. Doing this
You ruined their
cocktail.
childhood.
Doing this cocktail also ruined my childhood. So if I'm ruining mine, yours is getting wrecked. That's how it is. Okay, so this next cocktail we're gonna do, I'm calling it the Niagara Falls Sour. It's a riff off of a New York whiskey sour. If you are unfamiliar with what that means, a New York whiskey sour is a whiskey sour with a red wine float on top. And I was working on this cocktail recipe for Miss Annette and Jack. And I kind of switched up the regular ratios a little bit, added in some Aperol because I love Aperol, and some real maple syrup. So I'm calling it Niagara Falls because that's on the border of New York and Canada. So we're bringing the two together and making a really good cocktail. This is also a shaken cocktail. So key things to have on hand for when you're going to make this cocktail. I'm going to teach y'all a little bit of science as we finish off the cocktail. So you will need at least 2 or 3 cubes of fresh ice that you will be putting on top of the cocktail after it gets put in the glass. That's going to help later on, I'll explain, with the layering of the wine. So I did put in the instructions to pick a higher proof bourbon. You can use a regular bourbon, but the flavors of this cocktail do really well if it's got a higher proof. The one I'm using is only slightly higher proof. It's 48.4. One of my favorite whiskeys. Oh, can't see the bottle because it's almost empty. But it's Red River whiskey from North Texas. Absolutely love this. If you can't find it, you could use Wild Turkey 100, which tends to be a high proof. You could just use a regular whiskey. like a Buffalo Trace like we used last week. So any bourbon will do. You can also try this with rye, but we're gonna go with bourbon. So for this cocktail, we're gonna do a 3/4 ounce of lemon juice into our cocktail shaker.
3 grams. You know what I have is,
Oh, I got it, but it's just
oh, I was gonna say I have that one.
mine.
Again, fresh juices make everything better, but we are in quarantine, so if you don't have them, that's totally okay. Hopefully, y'all acquired real maple syrup, like the 100%, not like Aunt Jemima's maple syrup. They are not made equally.
Chandler, if we made the mix beforehand, how much of that goes in?
What mix?
The maple syrup and the mint and.
The honey mint is for the other cocktail. Maple
Okay,
syrup.
great. Okay,
Yeah, this
not a
is
problem.
straight maple syrup.
Did you see this one? Does it? Oh, no.
So I did try and make this with like a Hungry Jack maple syrup that I had in my closet. It worked. It's just not as good. So
That'll be
we're
great.
gonna use real stuff.
How much maple syrup?
So it's gonna be a 1/2 ounce.
Two shots again.
And then we're also gonna add in a 1/2 ounce of Aperol.
Right there, the orange, whatever those.
Oh, I'm not ready.
What's happening?
I love all the teamwork I'm seeing. This is great, guys.
How much was
And then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of the bourbon that you selected for your cocktail.
how much lemon juice?
So you're only gonna fill your shaker about 1/3 of the way with ice. You wanna do less ice than you've been using for most of these shakes.
So like more than that. More.
Yeah,
So 1/3 of the shaker. That's probably
a little more chunk, and then it's like
This is going to be in the rocks glass. So what I want you to do is once you have your ice in your shaker, you're gonna give it a really vigorous shake for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then if you remember from last week, we're gonna do what I call a dirty dump, where we just dump everything, including the ice in our shaker, into the glass. But I want you to make sure that you leave about 2 fingers from the top of your glass empty, so we can add in the wine. So if you have too much ice in your shaker, then you can use the strainer. Does that make sense? Everybody follows that? Yes?
Yes.
Got it.
Three fresh.
Ice cubes.
Okay, so when you have your cocktail in your glass, you're going to add fresh ice until it's almost to the brim.
I'll give her.
A little more.
No, we're good.
So it should look something like this. You see I still have room, but there's a nice layer of ice on the top.
Yeah, we're good.
So this works a lot easier if you have a pour spout, but it is not necessary. You can use a spoon if you feel like it won't, but putting the fresh ice on top is going to chill the wine better as it's entering the glass. So when you pour the wine onto the cocktail, you want to make sure it's directly hitting an ice cube and pour slowly. And then if you can see that in my camera, you'll see that nice layering start to happen. And then you stop when you hit the top. And this is one of those cocktails that is nice to serve with a straw or a swizzle stick, just because if you do sip it from the top, all you're going to taste is that wine flavor.
It's a fun word, swizzle stick.
It is.
Let me see your layering over there. How'd it turn out? Well, that looks really nice.
Chandler, you were breaking up.
I'm sorry?
You were breaking up.
Oh, I'm breaking up. Thank you. So this is good to serve with a straw or a swizzle stick. What's that, Jack?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I don't think it's straws.
We got the separation. This is great.
It's beautiful.
It looks good, yeah? So if you sip it directly, it's going to only taste like wine, right? Because it's all that's on top. So either stir it with the swizzle stick or put a straw in there and then start to drink it as it combines while you're doing
Your
it.
Joanna straw.
Yeah, I hear you want to use this one.
Huh? Is it all thing? Oh, you could do the Joanna one.
And
That
tell me how it
seems to be
tastes.
the.
Wow.
That's gonna be my drink for the week, I think.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It works
Well,
also-
I'm drinking a lemonade.
again. I love it.
I have a can of condensed milk of all for myself, so yes,
Treat yourself, Diana. Treat yourself.
of course.
We got separate straws, don't worry.
No, but that one I like. It looks very nice. And I have
Are
a
Are the straws 6 feet apart?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, Chandler, this is delicious.
Is it?
Yeah.
Everybody's liking it?
Oh yeah, that's real good.
Bourbon and
So-
red wine. How could you go wrong?
I think it's got some
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
So I'm using, I
Okay.
used a Cabernet. New York sours generally use
Mine's well, that's
Cabernets.
about the crush I had.
Oh.
But say you open a bottle of wine for dinner and you don't finish it all, which I know a lot of the people in this group will never have that problem. But if you have leftover wine and it's maybe not even enough for a whole glass, this is a really nice way to just upgrade your whiskey cocktail. You can make this without the Aperol and just do the full amount of whiskey. So instead of ½ ounce and 1½ ounce, it would be 2 ounces of whiskey. You can make this without the maple syrup. So basically, you guys have a framework to make a regular whiskey sour, which would be the lemon, the sweetener, the whiskey. If you want to make it a New York sour, then you just add in the red wine. And if you want to make it the Niagara Falls sour, you add in a little bit of Aperol and the maple syrup instead of a regular simple syrup, and we're good to go. And you can use a Malbec, you can use a Garnacha, you can really use any wine that you like. I tend to stray towards drier yet fruitier profiled wines of the red variety.
Yeah, it was a cat. I think that'd be low.
So cheers.
Yeah. We can open another one.
I just grabbed that one.
You're both all like that thing.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
What other maple syrup do you have?
You got something to say?
But like they're just other.
Is there an alternative for whiskey? Because I don't have whiskey at home.
Yes,
Can
you can
I use-
definitely use rum or even an aged tequila. The flavor profile will be a little different, but it still works really well.
Okay.
You just want to make sure it's more of a darker liqueur with character.
Yeah, Flor de Caña is an option then.
You and I are Flor de Caña buddies. We're about this life.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
It's reusable.
Okay. Now,
Well, you can do that.
I have more.
unless there are questions, do we have any questions about the Niagara Falls sour?
Clean it off. No.
No? All good? Cool. All right, so for the last cocktail we're going to do today, we're going to do something that I've named the Good Morning Topo. So if you are unfamiliar, Topo Chico is like the preferred mineral sparkling water of Texas. It's made in Mexico. You can use any mineral water. The reason this particular sparkling mineral water is so popular is because the bubbles are bigger. So if you've ever had sparkling mineral water or club soda or champagne, I just want you to think in your brain about how champagne or Prosecco feels on your tongue, where it's like those tiny little, really aggressive little bubbles. And then when you drink club soda or like Sprite, those bubbles feel differently. And if you don't know what I'm saying, then your homework this week is to drink a bunch of different fizzy beverages to learn yourself some knowledge about carbonation. So Topo Chico is really nice because the bubbles are bigger, so it helps the flavor
I'm not in your calendar.
No, it doesn't be on Facebook.
This
Oh.
is,
I just wanted those written down so we can make them later.
this
Okay.
is going to be an iced coffee cocktail. It's a little different. It's kind of influenced by Moroccan tea and then summery drinks and then my love for coffee. This is what I like to call a very adjustable cocktail. We've been trying to do a lot of those during our sessions. So I'm going to give you the recipe as I drink it. And then when you taste it, if it is too minty or too sweet or the coffee's too strong, then you can let me know and I will guide you on how to make the adjustment. Okay? So we are going to start with 5 mint leaves into your shaker. Now, if they're really, really large mint leaves for whatever reason, a large one counts for 2. So you do the math with your mint. I'm going to just put 5 mint leaves in here. I had really pretty mint, and then I think it got noticed that I was going to be using it and eating it, and now it's very sad. It's not nice and
Chandler, we're doing a quick mint run, so
okay,
buy us just a minute,
sure.
okay?
So while we're waiting for the mint run, I don't know, whoever did prepare for this particular cocktail, I don't know if you brewed coffee and then let it chill, if you happen to make a cold brew, but just in case, you can make this either way. If you are a person that brews a large pot in the morning and then you have leftover coffee, put it in the fridge and then you can use it for this cocktail. I personally prefer to use a cold brew. My favorite way to make cold brew, because they have all these fancy tools you can use now, I'm not about that. I'm about trying to do it as simple and as inexpensive as possible. So I make cold brew in my French press. I put the coffee grounds directly into my French press with the water and then put it in the fridge for whatever time I'm going to infuse it for. And then just plunge it like you would normal coffee, pour it out, good to go. So the ratio for that kind of cold brew is 1/4 cup of coffee grounds for 1 cup of water. And then this one is a 20-hour infusion, but you would want to do at least 8 hours. So it's a good overnight project. And I always recommend, if you have a coffee that you use all the time, start making a cold brew with it and then taste it after 8 hours, after 12 hours, after 16 hours, because the whole point of a cold brew process is to make the flavor profile less acidic, so it's easier on your stomach. But the longer you leave it, the more that flavor will change. So then you'll know, this coffee I like at 12 hours, but the other one I like at 24. So that's an experiment you can do on your own time with the coffee that you choose. So mint leaves in our shaker, we're going to do 5 of those. And this cocktail can be with any liquor you like. I honestly drink it with rum and whiskey, but it does work a lot nicer for most people with a silver liquor or alcohol, sorry. So I'm going to be using a vodka. You can use silver tequila, you can use silver rum, or if you're like me, just put whiskey in it.
Quick question, Chandler. If we've already made the infusion with the maple or with the honey, so the mint, this is a second hit of mint leaves, right?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So you're going to put the mint leaves in there, and then we're going to do 1.5 ounces of whatever alcohol you chose. I'm going to do the vodka this time. So 1.5 ounces. And this is a really, really nice mocktail. Like, you don't have to use alcohol. This is a really nice, just iced coffee to drink. So 1.5 ounces of the vodka. And then I have the mint honey simple syrup that I've prepared. So it's a regular simple syrup with just a little bit of honey added instead of an actual honey syrup. That way the flavor is not too heavy. And we're going to use 1.25 ounces. Okay, and you're going to put that directly into your cocktail shaker as well. And then of your coffee, you're going to use 6 ounces. Okay. So this is 2. I think I have 6 ounces.
Oh, does that smell good? Yeah.
So just a little note to you guys, this is a lot of liquid for people that are not used to shaking cocktail shakers with this much in them. Once you put the ice in there, that shaker is going to be really, really full. So if you're using a cocktail shaker that is more like mine, where it's like the 2 parts, definitely recommend holding it like so. I'll show you when I have it. So until you get comfortable with that amount of weight. I know Jack has a martini style shaker, which has the lid. That's totally fine, a lot easier to manage for a lot of people. So you're gonna add about a scoop of ice. You're not gonna, it'll end up bringing the coffee almost all the way to the top of your small one. If you have a martini shaker, then you're gonna put ice in it until you have about 2/3 of the way of your shaker is now got liquid and ice, if that makes sense. Following? Okay. So this is a cocktail that I want you to really shake hard. This is where you're gonna get your cardio. The reason for that though is because the combination of sugar, honey, and coffee is going to froth really nicely. So if you just kind of shake it, you're not gonna see it. You really wanna just shake the absolute crap out. Okay? So we're gonna shake for maybe about 10 seconds. It's not a really long shake. And then once you shake, you're gonna pour directly into your large glass. I know I recommended big mason jars or a Yeti cup. I have a 20-ounce pint glass that I'm gonna use, so that'll work too. Okay, so shake, shake, shake. So what I like to do when I have the shaker ready, I like to pour in, I like to put a tiny bit of ice in the bottom of my glass. Maybe about that much. Like a half scoop. And then I like to try and pour coffee blend and the soda simultaneously so they mix as I'm putting them into the glass. So it looks a little like this. And you can strain it if you want to, you don't have to. It just kind of depends on how you're going to drink it. If you're going to drink it with a straw, definitely strain it so that it doesn't clog. Okay.
Oh, so an even pour. Yeah. I do my makers and dollars.
Depending on your glass, you might have some left over, which just means you need to go make a friend and give them some coffee. I'm going to garnish mine with my very sad mint. I'm going to bring it over so y'all can see.
Beautiful.
It looks like looking at a Guinness, the way those gradient of colors happen. Very, very nice.
Vaca negra.
Vaca negra, yeah, it does. It looks like a root beer float. So if you made it, give it a taste. Let me know what you think. It's a very unique flavor profile. A lot of people never think mint with coffee. They think mint with chocolate. We'll get their opinion. Jack, tell us what you think.
It's delicious.
It is really good.
You sound so surprised. I love that.
No, I was like, this ain't, no, but it's really good. Although I will say, I think we got a little more mineral water than coffee mix, but it was really good.
So this is one of those things that as you make it, like I said, I make this a lot. So I know that I don't pour the soda water with the same speed as I do the coffee. So the ratio of coffee is higher. I just like to pour them simultaneously so that they blend together a little bit more.
Got it. Would espresso as opposed to regular coffee work if you want more coffee, like flavor, intenseness?
Absolutely. So the different ways you can add on to this cocktail, you can either use a much darker roast for a cold brew. You can take espresso, chill it, and then use that. Or if you're feeling frisky, you can actually do coffee liquor instead of a silver liquor, and that'll give you both your alcohol and your flavor.
Yay!
And this is one of those things that I didn't put in a specific alcohol for that reason. You could do this. I will say if you're gonna do the full 1.5 ounces, don't maybe do like a full 1.5 ounces of coffee liquor, because it's gonna be really, really strong and it's gonna overtake the delicate nature brought in by the mineral water. It's gonna overtake the mint. So I would say if you're going to do like flavored liqueurs, say you want to try it with hazelnut or chocolate or amaretto, do a 1/2 ounce of that, and then 1 ounce of your vodka or your white rum or your soda tequila. That make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like this with whiskey. So if y'all make another batch today, try with some whiskey.
Hey Chandler, if you're making it with whiskey, have you tried using the Jameson cold brew?
I was actually going to tell you that's what you should do. You should totally do it that way.
Yeah.
Jameson cold brew is really nice because they didn't really. It's one of their newer products on the market. If nobody else is familiar with it, it's really nice because they didn't sweeten it in the sense of a coffee liqueur. So it's still got the body of a whiskey, but it's got all of the flavor of coffee. It's really good.
Oh, we love it. So the flavor would go good with this, with the mint and everything?
Oh yeah. It's one of those things that as long as you can get past like the original idea of the drink, once you taste it, you're sold. Because I've tried to make this cocktail a lot for people sitting down for lunch at Culinary Dropout where I work. And it happens, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want mint in my coffee. I know you don't know. I'm trying to open up, your whole perspective on coffee cocktails in the morning. But then I just make one for them to try, and then they end up ordering another one. Because the whole idea of mint and coffee is so foreign to our culture that most people are like, no, it's okay.
Which is why I don't have the ingredients here today.
I mean, if you do really get creative with it, though, like if you find the combination you like of the right alcohol, the right amount of coffee, flavor being brought in, however your coffee brewing method is decided, I would say once you hit that like sweet spot of nailing it, then you have this entire world of really interesting herbs that would bring different things to the cocktail. So instead of mint, you could do like a Thai basil, which has more of an herbaceous note, but it has also those minty tones too. You could do a lemon basil, and then you'd have like herby, minty, and citrusy all at the same time. So once you hit the sweet spot, there's other places you can experiment with flavor. But for the meantime, just experiment with your liquors.
Okay.
That's a good starting point.
Perfect.
So the real question, Brian's
What's that?
the Chicago people, how did Brian do making those cocktails?
I think he did all right. He's been,
All right?
we've been his guinea pigs after he's done this with you. He's made his other cocktails for us. We love the
Welcome to the jungle.
The Welcome to the Jungle. We love
the
that.
Welcome to the Jungle?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's been a hit now.
Yes.
That was a challenge by someone who wasn't able to actually make it to that class, but they really like a lot of Jaeger. And I'm not a Jaeger fan. So I picked up Sharp, which is a ginger Jaeger, and it works beautifully with that one. Did y'all try it with Sharp, or did you try it with the regular one?
Oh no, that's a different drink. But that was good too. No, we did the Sharp. I used the Sharp for I don't like regular Jaeger at all, and that was real good. I was really surprised. It just tasted. I mean, it tasted good, but it had like a mule taste to it with the ginger versus like a Jaegery taste, in my opinion.
We were talking about the other one though with the bourbon. The Jaeger one was good, but then there was a one after that.
What's the one we did last week with all the whiskey and the fruit juices?
She's like, that was not my best friend.
Sorry, Tiki Meister is going with Jaeger. Welcome to the Jungle is going with bourbon.
So we were right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. All my days blend together in quarantine. For all I know, I did
so
that
the Jungle
last
one is the big hit right now.
I swear, like yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, I walked around looking for my glasses for 10 minutes, and they were on my actual face. I felt very accomplished. All right, well, before we technically end the class,
My glasses in your car.
I don't know how to end the live stream on Facebook, so we're gonna find out.
The little black glasses I always wear.
Or you know what? I'm gonna leave it.
Oh, they would probably be in the back seat, right?